With the recent announcement of Bleach Rebirth of Souls, we finally got a gameplay overview trailer, and it answered a lot of questions, but also led to a whole lot more. And I'm going to be going through it in this video. I'm your boy Kaizen, like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So there is a lot to unpack in this trailer. A lot of it is quite confusing and a lot of it was cool. But first things first, I want to go for the quick, short points I want to make. So firstly, and this is just a little trivial thing, I was listening to the trailer, like I was replaying the trailer, and I was like, I recognize this narrator voice from somewhere. Like it has a certain style, swagger to the voice. And then I realized, that's freaking Guy Sensei that's speaking as the narrator. You know, Kakashi, that guy.
Kakashi. Wielding swords, that person.
That was him, right? I haven't even checked it, but I'm 99% sure that's Might Guy. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. I hope we hear more of him throughout this game. Like we always get like a similar type of narrators and, you know, announcers in these games. It would be really cool to have a voice like that, which is not only recognizable, but you know, it's just a unique, cool voice. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about quickly was the graphics and all around visuals, and also the fact that it's going to be on PS4 and just old gen in general, which a lot of people did talk about in my last video because I brought it up as a negative thing. Because if you don't know, this game is going to be on old gen, PS4 and Xbox One. And I, along with a lot of people, you know, we kind of looked at this a weird way because, and what I'm about to say, I did say in my last video and a lot of people didn't like it, and a lot of people won't like it now, but the fact that it will be on old gen does suggest that it could be held back. And I know before you type in the comments, just hear me out, because I did explain this to a lot of people in the comments and they kind of understood, which I really appreciate. It's not that the game can't look good on PS4, and a game that is on PS4 in 2024 can perform well. I know because I have a PS4. I have a PS4 and a PS5. I use both. My family owns a PS5, but it's not mine directly. It belongs to a relative, which I use, and the PS4 is mine until Sparking Zero comes out. I'm on PS4, so I know what I'm talking about. I'm a culprit. I'm one of the culprits. So here's the thing: the game can look good on PS4, but it won't be to its full potential. And all we have to do is look at Sparking Zero. And I know this is about Bleach, so I'll make this quick. Look at Sparking Zero. It's a PS5 and Series X exclusive, and PC of course. And yet, when they said that it's gonna get local multiplayer, they had to sacrifice the fact that it can't be in any map or arena or whatever, except for the hyperbolic time chamber, because it's just too like graphic intensive, and you know, it takes up too much power. You know how there's all the map destructions and whatnot, and all the reactive, like, you know, you can destroy the cliffs and all that stuff, and the map transforms in certain circumstances. That's just too much for the game and console to handle while still doing local multiplayer. So now imagine, and I know this is Sparking Zero and we're talking about Bleach, but just imagine that on PS4. It just won't happen. And just using that as an example, imagine a game like that on PS4. It will be held back. It's either it will be held back or it just won't run on PS4 and Xbox One. So that's why I was a little worried. But looking at this new trailer, I will say, like, the graphics look beautiful, the performance looked fine in the trailer, and not just the graphics, it's like it was so stylish and cinematic. Like the cutscenes look incredible, but also just the colors in general of the gameplay just look so vibrant and colorful. And what I did notice was, it's like the light, and by the way, I just want to say I'm no expert, I'm just a fan like you guys are, and I'm saying my part. Feel free to say your part and disagree with me. This is not a set in stone like fact. I was just gonna say, regarding the graphics, it's like, yeah, they look stylish and vibrant, but as for the actual textures, it's not like it was hyper realistic or anything. So yeah, I could see it running on PS4. It's more reliant on the stylishness and colors for looking good and the cinematics, rather than hyper realistic graphics. It looks more like the anime, which I think they were going for. And I think it could be kind of like Naruto Storm Connections, where it is on PS4 and Xbox One, but it's straight up just 30 FPS on the old gen and straight up 60 FPS on the new gen. It could be like that, and that's fair enough. Now, moving on from that, let's talk about the gameplay. And there is a lot to unpack here. And honestly, I've seen other people say it, and I'll say it as well, and you guys will agree. We need to see more, because this led to more questions than answers. And I'm sure we will see more, because while this was a gameplay reveal and, like, you know, it showed the mechanics and the HUD and whatnot, it was a heavily edited video, and a lot of the stuff wasn't properly explained and was just left to our, you know, it was left for us to figure out. But let's go through what we were given. So firstly, the gameplay HUD, and I did show this HUD in my last video, I think it was my last video, because the HUD got leaked, and it turns out that HUD was accurate, and also there was some stuff that wasn't showed in the leak, which was the special attacks using the EX bar, and the reversal moves using that, that reversal bar. And each of those has two separate moves. For example, I think Ichigo's one was something slash and wielding, and then his reversal moves was flash step, and then another one. I'll put it on screen now. And by the way guys, just another, I just want to preface this, I'm not an expert, but anyways, Byakuya had his own moves. And speaking on the bars, there was so many different bars and gauges in this gameplay. I'll just go through them now, and I don't have a list, I'm going off memory, so I'll put it on the screen now. I think this is all of them. So there was obviously, okay, in fact, let me just address something quickly. Everyone's talking about the health bar, and I've seen some people say it's good, some people say it's way too complicated for no reason. And for me, I'm in the middle, because I really like the fact that they've gone for a unique approach compared to other games, and I also think it's cool. It's not that bad, in fact it's not bad at all, it's just that it's not what people are expecting. Some people prefer a traditional health bar. I mean, essentially it is a health bar. What it is a health bar but with multiple lives, so you can really turn the tide of battle, and you can take away multiple lives at once. For example, if you do a special attack in Bankai or whatever, and if your opponent is vulnerable, for example, if you are beating them up before that point, I guess you could take away more lives at a time, which they did show. Like, I think Byakuya took away like 3 bars at a time from Ichigo at one point in this trailer. But yeah, so I believe it was called konpakus, which is each of those health bar things. Or maybe that was the health bar itself. But either way, you get the idea. I think it was konpakus. You take away your opponent's konpakus, you start with 9, and then you chip away at them. But also they could regain health for each bar. So it makes it so that it's not just a straightforward take the health from 100 to 0. It's not like that. And personally, I think it's cool, but we'll have to see more before I can judge. Now below those two, we have the guard bar, guard gauge or whatever, which is quite straightforward. We see it in a lot of arena fighters. It's literally just how much you can guard until your guard breaks or whatever. Although interestingly, and I saw Globku point this out, the other he's a really big YouTuber, check him out. At one point, Ichigo's guard gauge or whatever, it just wasn't there, which was very weird. I don't know if that was like if it was meant to be like that, or maybe it's like once it went to 0, you don't get it back until your next Konpaku life or whatever. So that was interesting. Now below the, the character icon things, there was another little bar which they didn't bring much attention to, but we saw it. And I believe, in fact, I'm pretty sure that bar below their character icon is meant to show like when they can transform or, use their Bankai or resurrection, whatever it's called, for each character. For example, in this trailer, we see Byakuya use it to activate his Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi Bankai. And obviously that's when he starts beating up on Ichigo. And yeah, that's cool and that makes sense for a game like this. But my only question is, does every character have like 2 of these per match? Because it seems as though Byakuya does it a second time, and in the second form is his true Bankai or second phase Bankai, whatever. I think it's called Shuke Hakutaiken. You know that white phoenix thing? I'll put it on screen now. And which is really cool, by the way, and I'm really glad they added that as part of that character and not just a separate character. But if it is 2, could it be that, Ichigo's equivalent to that is his half hollow form or hollow mask form, whatever you want to call it? And if that's the case, that makes sense, but I just find it really weird that they'd show Byakuya use his second phase Bankai, but then they didn't show Ichigo activate. I mean, I know they teased at the end, but like, if they're gonna show Byakuya's in action, show Ichigo's as well. And also, and I'm gonna come back to this later, but I find it weird that they would do that whole, Ichigo, let's do our final attack to decide this battle. Yeah, that was a really cool way to end the trailer, but I'm pretty sure Ichigo does his hollow form before that ending part of the battle where they do the one last attack, because it does seem to be that this is part of the story mode. This trailer is taken out of the story mode, so I guess maybe they switched out the order just to make it work for us for a trailer. Like, they don't want to show the hollow yet, but I'm pretty sure that the hollow form Ichigo happens before Byakuya activates that Shuke Hakutaiken, and then they do that one last attack where Ichigo's in his normal Bankai and still somehow wins. Now I think I may have mentioned this before, but obviously we have the 2 bars at the bottom which are very important. Firstly, we have the EX bar, which is probably one of the most simple to understand things. We see this in pretty much every fighting game, you'll get it. The EX bar is basically it's like a gauge bar for special attacks. For example, it says if you press a certain button. With how these arena fighters go, I guess if you press L1 and square or L1 and triangle, it activates the 2 moves. So for Ichigo, it says for one of the inputs you get all out slash, and for another one you get wielding, which is a very trash name, but anyways. Yeah, so that would probably take up 1 bar out of the gauge. And then we have the reversal bar. Now this at first I thought was simple enough, because it's like it's a counter move or whatever. For example, for Ichigo, I guess you would press like R1 and circle R1 and X or whatever. That's just my guess. He has reverse action and flash step, and obviously that takes up the gauge as well. Now here's where I got a bit confused. So obviously Byakuya, he has his own equivalents. So for his EX bar, he has Seal, Senbon, Sakura. By the way, this will all be on screen. Seal, Senbon, Sakura, and that won't touch me. That's for his like EX attacks, his special attacks. And for his counters, his reversals, he has reverse action and flash step. Flash step, we've seen it on screen, we get how it works. You like teleport behind them or whatever. And here's where I'm a bit confused. Although now that I think about it, I get it. So there's one point where Byakuya, he activates his reverse gauge or whatever, and it starts slowly draining, and he enters what's essentially like a powered up state. Not a full transformation, it's more like kind of like a burst mode thing, where he's attacking with his petals and whatnot using his Shikai, and it goes like that, and he does like better attacks, and it's like a constant flow of attacks. And also at some points when he's in this attack form, he like glows red. I'm not sure if that's because like that takes up more gauge and then you can break the guard more. I don't know, that was weird, but I guess that's another mechanic. But I was just confused as to what that was, because that wasn't a reverse move, that was just straight up like an offensive technique, like a power-up almost. Not quite a transformation, but a power-up. I'm assuming, and maybe this was on screen, because there's like a couple points where the reverse gauge is flashing and is on fire or whatever for both Ichigo and Byakuya. So maybe when it's maxed out, you can activate like some kind of burst mode, or I think we have stuff like that in other games as well, like Xenoverse and maybe Curse Clash. I'm not sure, I haven't really played Curse Clash. But anyways, yeah, that could be the case for that. Also, I think we kind of expected this, but once they transform, obviously they get like a different moveset, better moveset, but it's different, and they fight different too, which is always good, because you don't want to just be powered up but a copied and paste character, you know. We want like Tensa Zangetsu Ichigo to fight different. He's like a more speed type character in that state. And of course that applies to the special attacks, and I guess the reverse moves too. And I don't know about the reverse state when you activate that gauge. That's still kind of a mystery at this point, or at least like as to how far it goes, you know, maybe it changes in different forms. But yeah, and also obviously we have the basic attack. I heard someone pointed out that there's 2 forms of basic attacks. I don't know if it's like square and then triangle, if you're on PlayStation anyways. I like that there is quite a few different mechanics in this game, because I guess they've made it so you can put them all together and create your own combos and whatnot, and also reverse combos. So it's, as far as arena fighters go, in terms of gameplay, it seems to be fairly balanced so far, although we need to see more before we can judge. And I put emphasis on that because we really do need to see more. Because don't get me wrong, this was a great reveal, but it was very edited up, and obviously to make it cinematic, and obviously because it seems to be part of the story mode, and I don't know if that contributed to the cinematics. It definitely contributed to the ending cinematic where, you know, Ichigo's like, oh, one last strike to decide it all, which I would like to see how it plays out, because I'm wondering, are they going to change the order of when Ichigo's hollow form happens, or maybe that was just edited out of this trailer, which really shows how like heavily they edited this. But yeah, what I'm saying is, with all these edits and cuts, we can't really see the true flow of the gameplay, especially with the movements, because in pretty much every part of this gameplay reveal where they're fighting, they only show that the real like clashes in the combat, but not really anything to do with the movement. It's always just constant action. And I feel like one of the great aspects of the Storm series, which is regarded as one of the better, if not the best, anime arena fighter series, or maybe next to Tenkaichi, is one of the best aspects is the movement. The fluidity and the smoothness of the movement is so much better than some of these other floaty games. With all due respect, I'm not saying they're bad games, but I'm just saying the movement in Storm is a lot better than other arena fighters. But yeah, I guess we'll see more once we see like a uncut full gameplay reveal, which we'll inevitably get. That's what they seem to do with these kind of games. They've done that with Sparking Zero countless times now. I also look forward to them showing more characters, especially the gameplay for more characters, because they seem to play different. I mean, we saw a quick little glimpse of Renji and Uryu and Rukia. Rukia is one of my favorite female characters in all of Bleach and probably all of anime. So I did like the gameplay we saw of her, even though it was a split second, like she shot her harder or whatever. And Renji was cool when he was swinging the blade around. That was really cool and unique. I don't remember too much of audio, but I mean, he's a range type character, so that would be really cool to see and see how it plays out in the form of this game. Also, I know this is a minor detail, but I just want to say the music in this trailer, especially that one song that they played, I can't remember what it's called, was just incredible. Like, I'm not gonna lie, as typical and cliche as it is, I would have loved to have heard number one. I know that's like just such a basic formula, but as a Bleach fan, every time I hear number one, I'm never disappointed. It gets me hyped up and it's perfect for all of this kind of stuff. But I can't lie, they are cooking with this OST or whatever, and I still hope we hear number one in the game, but they cooked with this. It kind of reminded me of Sonic a little bit with a hint of Bleach, but yeah, it was really great. By the way, as you're watching this video right now, I'm literally like 4 subs away from, or 5 subs away from 600 subs, and my goal for this year is 1000 subs, preferably by October, but just hopefully this year. And what's crazy is you can help me with that for free by hitting that subscribe button and liking this video and supporting me. And who knows, maybe if I'm a big channel one day, you can say you're an OG on my journey, and I appreciate everyone who supports. So yeah, do help me with that, like and subscribe. And I did do some other discussions for this Bleach game, some of which are I did two. One of them is still relevant right now, and it's why I'm optimistic about this being a great game and not just a copy and paste arena fighter like some of these other anime games. And yeah, that should be on screen now. I've also done a bunch of videos on Sparking Zero, check those out, and I got more coming. And I'll probably do a roster prediction for the Bleach game. So yeah, check those out, like and subscribe. I've been your boy Kaizen, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.